Remember that time Disney rides were so overrated?
Today we're talking about overrated rides.
You picked this list based on your reviews on AllEars.net.
You did this again, and here I am talking about
If
it.
you want to be a part of polls like that we might talk about in YouTube videos, we might write about on AllEars.net, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and we might ask for your opinion. You might get featured.
Who's the real loser here? Probably me.
Ooh, what is the most overrated ride at Magic Kingdom?
Overrated ride? I think it's between Peter Pan's Flight and Splash Mountain.
Dumbo. And you want to know why? Because all you're doing is flying in a circle.
Overrated and bad are different. I want to point that out before we get into all of this. Overrated and bad are two very different things because overrated rides are like overhyped. They're talked about as being amazing. They usually have really long lines and then they aren't worth the hype and worth the wait. Whereas bad attractions are just bad. I think it's either Peter Pan's Flight or Splash Mountain.
Peter Pan's Flight? Peter Pan's Flight? Peter Pan's Flight is the most overrated ride in Magic Kingdom. That's what you're saying.
Peter Pan's Flight is an Omnimover dark ride attraction.
It's a little misleading. People are gonna call it an Omnimover.
Is that an Omnimover?
Omnimover attractions are usually defined by two things. One, they never stop moving, all right? They're always going. This ride meets that criteria. However, Omnimover attractions are also defined by their ability to turn and spin, to sort of direct you toward the scenes. And the pirate ship doesn't really do that. The track you're on will sort of snake and move, and so it feels like you're turning, but it's only because of the track moving, right? The vehicle itself is not pivoting and twisting.
You are flying over the different settings that you see in the film in the Darling's bedroom. You then go outdoors, you fly over London, you fly over various sites in Neverland, you see the pirates, you see the mermaids, you see it all. It is a lovely little ride. It's a perfect little dark ride.
And then my favorite part of the attraction is actually not anything on the attraction. It's when the cast member at the end of the walkway sprinkles pixie dust, snaps their fingers, your lap bar lowers, and you're off to Neverland. And I just think that's a really sweet cast member interaction, and I always get excited when they do it.
I get why people said Peter Pan's Flight. I do get it. It's a super short ride. It's like old, and sometimes the animatronics are scary, especially the Peter Pan one at the end.
The queue is always incredibly long, especially when you have a priority lane like Fast Pass or Genie Plus. The standby queue gets longer and longer and longer throughout the day, and it stays that long pretty much all day.
It's not even about the quality of the ride. I think that it's a really cute dark ride. It's one of the best dark rides we have, and it's a great IP. I just think when I compare it to other dark rides in terms of the amount of time that I need to wait to ride it.
I've had the opportunity to stand in that line to clock it, to see it. Is it really 80 minutes? It's really 80 minutes.
The queue
on Peter Pan's Flight is good to me for one reason, and one reason only. Poor Nana. Poor Nana. Poor father. Poor Nana. Poor Nana. Poor father.
you know,
I love the queue for Peter Pan's Flight. It's interactive. There are butterflies. There are bells that you get to hit.
interactive, yeah.
You walk into the Darling's house, and then you go into the kids' room, and Tinkerbell is in there, like, flitting around. You can, like, see her, like, mess stuff up or light up the light shades.
It's neat.
It's a classic. There's nothing else that can be said. It is a classic in the truest sense of that word. What is more magical than that?
Suddenly this is supposed to be a good attraction because you have a Volvo? Let's go test track. I'm ready. I'm gonna talk. I'm test track's new biggest fan.
The most overrated ride at Epcot is Test Track.
I'm the biggest fan of Test Track. I love Test Track.
I think that it's a toss-up, frankly, between Test Track and Frozen.
Woo!
The Grand Fiesta Tour. Yeah, I said it. The Grand Fiesta Tour is the most overrated ride in Epcot.
This is a great ride. Everybody loves Test Track.
Test Track? Are you kidding?
Current Test Track. If they brought back Lumpy the Dummy, and the whole like crash test dummy vibe of old Test Track, I would not be saying this.
What is going on? This is such a bad day. It's such a bad day to find out this is what you think.
I feel good that this was the answer because it's also my answer. I think this is the correct answer. I'm sure a lot of people are like, Molly, like, you don't like Journey into Imagination with Figment. I don't like Journey into Imagination with Figment, but it's not overrated. It's just bad. Test Track is bad and overrated.
Look at me in the eye. Look at me in the eye. I'm going to talk very seriously right now. The most overrated ride in Epcot is Test Track, and if anybody says anything else, it's completely ridiculous.
The current version of Test Track takes you out on the sim track where you can test a sim car that you've designed through a variety of car testing tests.
People even like other rides. I mean, I understand that people like Soarin', but that ride's good. And people like people don't even talk, they don't even hype rides like Figment or Land or The Seas with Neon Friends. If for something to be overrated, it has to be rated, right? People have to talk about how much they love a thing. And I think Test Track is the only one of these rides that people are like, oh my god, I love Test Track. It's such a good attraction, right? So before you even come in, because you're gonna be like, this guy's always talking smack about Test Track, think about the problem, right? Because I think the only rides in Epcot that can even be considered to be the most overrated rides would be rides like Frozen or Remy or Test Track, because these are the only rides that people are actually really hyped about, right? Every other ride, I think most people in Epcot are gonna be kind of mad about. They're gonna be like, whatever, I'll ride the land from there and I enjoy it, that's fine. Or no, I ride The Seas with Neon Friends, but if I don't, it's not a big deal. So for a ride to be overhyped, it has to be hyped, right? And I think it's undeniable that Test Track is one of those hyped rides in all of Epcot.
That originally premiered with a crash test dummy theme. It was very cutting edge at the time. It's a car that's driving around.
And it should be a surprise that I think that this ride is a little bit overrated because it's just driving a car. You're just taking your normal commute to the park. It's not any kind of big deal. And before you say, yeah, but I don't get to drive convertible on my normal commute. How am I supposed to control what car you have? You're supposed to, suddenly this is supposed to be a good attraction because you have a Volvo? I don't understand. I can't control the fact that you don't own a convertible. You bought a Jetta, and so now that makes Test Track a better ride because you can't afford or don't have access to drive a convertible vehicle, and instead you drive your Volkswagen? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
If there was any sort of bit outside of the fact that you get to drive fast and take a vehicle through some vehicle testing in a Tron-like environment, then there would be something worth it to that attraction.
Also, if you don't have a hair tie as a lady with long hair, your hair is gonna be knotted for a day after Test Track. And that's annoying.
I'm just going to consider here that perhaps this is your daily commute, especially if you were being too willing to open your driver's side window and shove your head out like you were a canine. Stick the tongue out too if you want the added effect, but this is the same as driving on a highway. It has horrible IP. It doesn't make any sense. Now it feels like a shell of a ride that they put over wireframe designs over. It doesn't even make sense anymore. It was better and now it's bad. And it is absolutely, without a doubt, the most overhyped ride in all of Epcot. There's no even consideration for another ride.
If I could retheme Test Track, I've screamed it before and I'll scream about it again. It needs to be Wreck-It Ralph. It needs to be Sugar Rush.
That would be great. Although maybe not, because it's not very like racy like Sugar Rush is. Not racy. Not like racy. Like race car-y.
I'd make it a Radiator Springs Racers. Why not? I would bring that, you know what? How about this? I would retheme it to cars. I really would. And I would do it as if it was like a Grand Prix type situation.
And it needs to have the same racing element of Radiator Springs Racers, but now you're in Sugar Rush.
Any IP would make it better. So I'll even take like a middle of the road Disney movie like Wreck-It Ralph. Even that would make Test Track a better ride.
Hey, I'm a strange adult woman that's here alone. I will be joining your family memory. Thank you for inviting me. You didn't, but I'm here.
What's the most overrated ride at Hollywood Studios?
Slinky Dog Dash is the most overrated ride in Hollywood Studios.
Rock and Roller Coaster.
Y'all actually got this one right. In my opinion, the most overrated ride in Hollywood Studios is Smugglers Run Millennium Falcon.
Y'all, if you could have seen the face that Molly just gave me while she's producing this episode when I said that, it was so good.
Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run is the attraction inside the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy where you get put into the cockpit to go on an adventure and smuggle some possibly illegal goods.
All of this illegal goods, Anako Renanda, Anuka Renande, Akandu Renando, Anuka Renako, right? What's his name?
For Hondo Onaka.
I think that people believe that the Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run is overrated because there's so much hype around the attraction to begin with.
I agree that they under-delivered. Like Disney said there were going to be like different stories you could play, different like flight patterns for the Falcon, and there's not. It's just one.
The cool part about Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run is seeing the Millennium Falcon, which you can see from the ground, and going into the different rooms of the Falcon in the queue, way more than the actual ride itself.
When you step on the Millennium Falcon. If you are a Star Wars fan, to me, it's one of the coolest queue experiences I've ever had. I am a Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan for my entire life. It's one of my favorite fandoms. And walking through the corridor of the Falcon, being able to sit down at the Dishrack board, it's pretty amazing.
Because I know that experience is for me, one of the defining experiences of that attraction. It's very, very, very well done.
The problem with Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run is that because it is 6 people and it's so interactive, if you don't know those people, it can be really bad or really good.
But that ride, when you are riding with people you know, whether you're the pilot or not, is a blast. There is like not a place that I laugh harder in Disney World than when I'm like watching my mom try to fly the Millennium Falcon. I say that, but that's never happened. I always take the pilot seat for my mom.
The best version of this ride is if you ride with 5 other friends and all 6 of you are in this pod together, working together to do this mission. That is peak Smugglers Run, right?
I'm usually a single rider, so then I'm just like encroaching on families' memories all the time. Back there is the engineer, like, hey, I'm a strange adult woman that's here alone. I will be joining your family memory. Thank you for inviting me. You didn't, but I'm here.
I think that this ride, more than any other ride, probably in all of Walt Disney World, has the greatest variance of experience.
Do I think Han Solo and Chewbacca would like me? I think Chewbacca would probably like me more than Han would.
I don't think Han would like me. I think Han would find me annoying.
I feel like I would get along with Chewie and Hans. Like, listen, okay? Give me one little journey, okay? One little destination, one little spaceship ride, and I promise you, we will be best friends.
I do think Han Solo and Chewbacca would like me because I am very similar to Han in a lot of ways. I'm gonna help out who needs me to help out. If it's the good guys, that's preferable, but I'm looking out for number 1. I think Han and I would have a mutual respect that way. And we'd fall in love. Leia who? Young Harrison Ford. Whew, am I right? Honestly, Harrison Ford now.
All I see are those nasty ostriches. They're just cruel, evil things.
Most overrated ride in Animal Kingdom.
Probably Navi River Journey.
I think Dinosaur is the most overrated attraction in Disney's Animal Kingdom.
I would have to pick the safaris. Honestly, the Kilimanjaro safaris. I always have really bad luck, and all those animals are sleeping somewhere when I go on the ride. All I see are those nasty ostriches. They're just cruel, evil things.
The most common answer was Flight of Passage. How do you feel about that? That's bold.
That's spicy and friends.
I don't understand why y'all would think this is overrated.
Our readers and viewers are feeling some kind of way right now, I feel like.
Can't say I'm surprised.
You are fools.
And I do agree to an extent. I agree that Flight of Passage, if you wait in a 2-hour line, as with anything, you might be like, really?
You're fools, I say.
Animal Kingdom rides, I think, are pretty polarizing, right? People love Everest, Safari, Dinosaur, Flight of Passage. They just don't love rides like Navi River Journey. People agree it's not good. So, of the good rides, I think this is definitely the most overrated of them.
And this is from somebody who, again, as a colorblind human, has issues with the 3D glasses. The experience and technology are great. They took everything that you liked about Soarin' and were like, let's make that a little bit better. Let's turn the dial up just a, maybe not better, let's make it more intense. Let's turn the dial up.
Flight of Passage is the headliner attraction in Pandora, the world of Avatar, where you board the back of a Banshee and fly over the Valley of Moara.
I know that a lot of people don't love Flight of Passage, and I know a lot of people can't ride Flight of Passage because it makes them motion sick or the seats don't accommodate certain body types, which I don't love.
If you are too tall or too thick, you will not fit on this ride. And that's a big issue for a lot of people who are differently shaped, who also love Pandora, who want to get on this attraction.
I think you all think that this attraction is overrated because of the long queue and then sort of a short payoff. And that I agree with, right? The queue is very long. That is one of the big ticket attractions in Animal Kingdom.
I do think the queue is very cool. I did wait. The first time I rode this ride, I waited a long time. And I will say, one of the things I gave it credit for was that wait didn't feel that long, because the queue is very immersive. It also changes pretty regularly. There's always new stuff to look at.
You see a giant Navi clone literally floating in a tube, y'all. It's a test tube, baby, but an alien. And he's actually a grown man, so not a baby, but you know what I mean. It's from a test tube. Somebody grew that in a test tube, y'all. And now you're about to put yourself in it, your consciousness in it, to go fly around Pandora. I'm just saying, that's awfully brave.
Could I ride a Banshee in real life? Yeah.
I do think I could ride a Banshee in real life. I think I could ride a Banshee better than anyone else in this cast because I grew up riding and showing horses. And I assume riding a Banshee is very similar to riding an angry horse.
I could ride a Banshee. It's not a question of if I could ride it. It's a question of how long.
I think I would be able to hang on and not fall off and die.
I'd probably die.
No, I don't need to ride a Banshee. I'm gonna sit and have a nice pretzel at Pongu Pongu with your grandma. And we're gonna have a nice chat. That's what I'm gonna do.
I think the most overrated ride in all of Walt Disney World is Test Track.
Because, as previously mentioned, you get that every day if you're driving anywhere.
Test Track.
Test Track. I said it. I stand by it. I think it's Test Track.
End of story. No further questions. Test Track. Test Track is the most overrated. It's not close.
I have to just say we're all right. There is not a wrong or a right answer to any of these, or there are only right answers really, because it's just about what's right for you. So I respect you. I'm really interested in these opinions, and I'm interested to see how these opinions on the reviews section of AllEars.net change now that this episode is aired, because I bet a lot of you are rushing over there right now to review the heck out of your favorite ride that just got called the most overrated.
Oh my gosh. Would I be a lost boy, a mermaid, or a pirate? Can I apply for all three? Because sometimes I'm a little bit lost and I like to get up and help Peter Pan. And then other times, child, I'm glamorous, okay? You see this? Glamorous, right? All I want to do is sit on a rock and try to get a windy bird in the water. I mean, don't we all have those moments? And then other times, I'm a pirate. Strong opinions on these overrated rides. Now go watch our episode on the worst rides in Disney World.